Hey guys, Paul McLean here. Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast. And as you can see, I got my good buddy Grady Polcyn on with us today. Grady, what's up, dude?
Hey, buddy, how we doing, man?
Could not be doing better, man. And I'll tell you what, every single week I sit back and I think, who can I have on here to best serve the team? I know that Monday mornings for a lot of us, it's kind of a kickoff day. It's a dial day for most around the country. They're going to the office. It's another day. It's kind of like you hit that reset button, like, all right, man, let's go. Let's start. We got to fill the schedule back up. And if it wasn't for a lot of different trainings and people that I just feel like they kind of like just invigorated me, man, just listening to them and gleaning from them. Because everybody's got storms. The one thing that me and you both know is that there's really nothing that's taken place that we have not yet seen that's already like we've seen it all, you know what I mean? And so this is one of those things where I sit back and say, who's best to serve? And Grady, I honestly, man, I couldn't think of anybody better to have on this week than you. Integrity partner, another one with Family First Life, man, great to call you a partner, man. And also when you look at the growth, dude, like what did you guys issue pay last month?
Well, first, thank you for having me on, and to hear the words partner is humbling and exciting for all the people that we all have on our agencies that we know can partner as well. But thank you. But yeah, man, Paul is a tremendous month. Nearly 1 million growth over February. We ended March at 3.6 million of almost all life. So it was a amazing month.
That's massive, man, because it's not, you take a look at growth, it's all relative, right? You grow by 33% going from 10 grand to 13. Well, you shouldn't be celebrating that. All right. Have some respect for yourself, for God's sake. But when you go from, 2 point something million to 3.6, I mean, like that's insane. That's a big amount. And to kind of give perspective on what's taking place and who you guys get to listen to today. I remember working at another company and kind of, I guess you're a product of the environment you're in. I guess the standards that you set for yourself is pretty much a standard that's being set around you. And what I was seeing was like, man, if you do a couple million a month as an IMO, man, you're huge, you're massive. And you take a look at, you grew more in a month than more IMOs do in a month that have been around for decades. And so just really a testament to, your leadership and what you're doing. I know you've got a phenomenal group. I know you got some unbelievable VPs and SVPs and managers. There's no doubt about that. And, but dude, you've done a phenomenal job in building the business from day one. And really today, what I want to get into is some of the things that I think are kind of intangibles that if everybody kind of got a little bit better in these areas, it would make a massive difference in their overall business. I think they'd be a better producer. They'd build a bigger business. I think you'd be a better spouse, parent, everything. And that's having passion behind what you do and being just full of energy. Grady, I remember going back years ago, man, we were, I think in Phoenix and me and Andrew were talking about kicking off the meeting and you were brand new. You were just getting started. And we're like, man, why don't we have Grady kick it off? Dude, you got up there, bro. You were fired up, man. I was about ready to smack someone, dude. And, in a Christian kind of way, but there were some big producers. I don't want to hit them, but I was like, I gotta hit something, man. I was fired up. And, so I want to get into that. And that's going to be kind of what I want to spend some time on. But before we get there, I do want to talk about kind of your start to Family First Life. Like what did you do prior? How did you find Family First Life? And then how long did it take you to finally say, you know what? I'm going to give this thing a shot, because I think everybody's starting point is different. It's easy for people to say, well, look at Grady now. Like that's so impressive. Like 3.6 million, sexy, but what it looked like prior and maybe the process to get there necessarily wasn't. So talk about where you were prior to coming to Family First Life.
Prior to Family First Life, I was lost. That might be a good describing word. Looking for something, had passion and zest for working hard, but never found the thing that I needed in order to be able to take care of my family the way I wanted. Right. It's always a good goal as a parent, father, a mother, a spouse, right? Someone that you've got goals, right? You've got goals the way you want to live your life. You've got goals the way you want to treat the people around you, goals the way you want to support people around you. And I was kind of bouncing between different entrepreneurial opportunity. I did some MLM type stuff. Eventually I started a software company, which is very exciting. Learned a lot about marketing and online marketing, but never could get up to that sort of higher income level where I could really provide a great life for my family. until I found FFL. And that was really the thing that has, I mean, it's been a rocket ship since day one of learning how to dial and learning how to get good at getting leads and learning how to deal with no shows and managing my time and disciplining myself. I mean, this is a never ending personal development program that has a massive compensation plan at the back end, that we all get to take part in and get to learn from others that are paving the same way. So I would say that I did a bunch of different little smaller entrepreneurial things, but was really kind of looking for this my whole life, man. I'm happy I found it.
Well, dude, I'll tell you what, I think many people are happy you found it. The people on your team, I'm happy you found it. Many people in the FFL are happy you found it. And that's one of the things that you've done, Grady, is you've set a higher standard, your progress to get to where you got, the speed to which you got there, and how you got there with social media, all the things that you attacked. And that's a beautiful thing about being a part of a company and a team like this. And that's why team is so important. And I've grown and learned so much from you that I put into my business. I've been doing this 14 years, and you come onto the scene. I'm like, man, that makes sense. I need to tweak that. I need to adjust that. I need to do that better. And it impacts everybody. And so, but when you started, you kind of got put into like the Facebook group page and was checking it out for quite a while, right?
Yeah.
What changed? What kind of like, when was the point where you said, okay, now I'm willing to take that next step forward, and maybe talk about like what took you so long? Like what about what you had been through, where you were currently at, that kind of kept you, not really wanting to jump in and maybe more skeptical and cynical about FFL initially?
That's true. It's very, So the 4 years prior to starting FFL, I'd started and was running a software company with some guys that I connected with that were really good at software. And I was kind of good at talking, and they did all the zeros and ones, and I did some of the marketing, and we built this business and provided us an okay paycheck. The upside was huge, right? You get in software and you think of Google and you think of Uber and you think of these massive companies. Well, there's hundreds of thousands of not Googles and Ubers that don't make it. And we were one of those that were just kind of struggling along. And so the way the mind works and the eye wanders and the goals progress, it is you're doing something, old mentor used to say, if you're doing something after 6 months, you're not making any money, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. Right. And so we had something that was a business, it was making some money, but it'd been almost half a decade and I hadn't been able to get the, money saved up to buy a house or money put away to, upgrade my wife's car, and just like the little things that just, you would think that could come as a goal of applying more effort. That's the cool thing about FFL, is if you want something that costs money, all you do is buy more leads and go run more appointments, and you can buy anything you want. Like that doesn't exist in a lot of traditional businesses, right? Restaurant wants to have a big month. They can't just 10x their ad spend and they flood the doors with customers, right? There's only so many seats and so much time and so much beef they can buy and so many people they can come in. And so that's the magical, or as Trevor Dunbar coined this phrase, the hidden universe of insurance sales. If you buy more leads, you can just change your life. And so for me, as I was kind of going through this software company that I was running and learning a lot, my mind and I was wondering about another life that I could, maybe this wasn't the thing that I thought was the thing. And fortunately, I ran into Andrew, and he, was not very talkative. I could see it. And put me in, but he goes, hey, check out this Facebook group. There's a lot of us in here kind of talking about what we do. And so I got in the Facebook group and just started watching, right? That's a big thing. Just surveying, watching the leaderboards, watching how people talked, watching people treated each other. And that was one of the things that I think made it easier for me to make the decision to walk away from something that I'd built for 4 years, was everyone was nice to each other. Everyone was very supportive of each other. Everyone was very encouraging. There was no like backbiting or nothing. There was no like negative talk or chatter. It was, and I think that's a good thing from a good admin standpoint of the group, but just protecting are there tough parts of this business? Sure. But overall, it's an amazing, positive, encouraging business. And so I saw the leaderboards. I saw the Joe Millers on there doing 5-10K in a week. I saw Andrew on there. I saw you in there, and I'm like, what is this? Like, and it took me time, right? Like, I think that's the challenge of a lot of our new agents is, when we recruit someone, they're not coming from being broke, dumb, destitute, living homeless on their mom's couch. they have another career, they have a job, they have something they're doing. They might be in another company, they might be in another sales industry, they're doing something to pay their bills, but it's not fulfilling them the way they want. And like for me, I was doing something else, making some money, but I wasn't being fulfilled the way that I wanted. And so it took me time to see. So I think that's a big thing about like where our email marketing type stuff works, and our continual social media posts, and our positive, encouraging Facebook group of getting prospects in there and letting them check out what we have and see that we're an open book. And that for me really worked. And it allowed me to have faith upon faith upon faith upon faith for weeks and months and nearly a year. That I think that like the behind the scenes, the rest of the story, I think I got contracted like in early 2017 and like didn't sell a policy. Like I sold like 3 policies in 2017, but I sold one in like August, and then sold one in October, and then I sold one before Christmas. And like, this was back trans paper apps, Paul. This is back in the day, bro. And I remember the first client, like she told me that she didn't trust me to come to her home, probably because I was terrible on the phone. So we met at a Village Inn, and it was like $96 a month, Transamerica, and we had apple pie after. And that was like, well, that was cool. And that was like December, and I had the faith, and I'm watching the group, and that was when my software company just started to really kind of take a different direction. And I'm like still watching the group and I took the leap, man. Took the leap in early 2018 and went for it. But I think I didn't take it sooner because I was scared, right? I think that's a lot of people. And I was nervous that I could provide for my family. I mean, it was me against the world. It wasn't, although this small paycheck was coming from my software company, it was something, right? The warm bosom of a paycheck freezes a lot of people from taking that bigger leap to being self-employed. But unfortunate, January 3rd, 2018, I resigned from my software company. And then by January 10th, I sold my first policy as a real full-time, agent after 10 appointments in the first week. Didn't sell the first 9 and sold the 10th, Patricia P, $43 a month Eagle. And that started the rest of the story, man. That was it.
Hey, Grady, how long did it take you to get to 20K a month after you went full-time in January?
It's a great question. So first month was 14, just fired up, bashing my head against the wall, selling trans and AIG, just, loving life, having a good time, getting it done. Then February of 2018, we'd made so much because I made 14,000 essentially in January. So what do you do after you have a great month, after, never really making that kind of money? You go on vacation. So we went on vacation in February, went to her mom's house and bought her groceries and a new TV, and, took like 10 days off out of the field. It was like, this is a dream, honey. This is what we've always wanted. And the chargebacks started to set in, and ended up writing like $8K that month. And she chewed my butt and I chewed my own butt. And eventually, but what happened in that month, fortunately, I flew to Dallas on a whim and went to my first convention all by myself. And you didn't have any agents, was just Grady, Polcyn. I knew Andrew and Trey from the Facebook group, basically. That was it. And went to that Dallas convention and took notes like my life depended on it, asked questions of agents, because I set a goal to go on as many appointments that January as I could. And I think I went on like I set a goal for 100, and I think I went on like 63. So like I didn't sell a ton clearly because I issue paid 14, but by the time February came in and I was at that convention, I had a lot of experience that I was able to, not a ton, but enough that I could get it refined by being at that event, that like hearing the speakers talk and hearing when they go through their phone scripts and hearing them go through their in-homes, and knowing that I got to think about it and the work coverage and the group coverage. And I'm just going to save the money enough times that I found top producers and asked them questions in the hallways and asked them questions about lead flow, that coming out of that March, my 3rd month, I issued paid 31 and changed my life forever. And I never went back. And since that every month in the field, I was at least at 25, 30 issue paid until I, came out of the field. But that was, it took time, it took goals, and it took enough experience to allow myself to be humble enough to get refined. And,
I love that. Well, I think, man, for one, once everybody's like 30K a month away from really changing the trajectory of your business. So why is that? Well, because once you do it one time, you've now told yourself that you can do it. And once you've done that, now you've got the confidence and game plan and belief to go out there and continue to do it. And so really most everybody, you're one good month away from being able to say, prove to yourself that, yes, I can do this. It can be done. And this thing's going to work, and that's really what it boils down to. And I think, Grady, most people, they come into the business and we're more alike than not alike. Everybody kind of comes in, and for the most part, you're kind of dealing with doubt and disbelief. I'm not too sure. And, you kind of reflect back on some of the past experiences. Like, man, I felt kind of, inspired and excited about the last thing I did. And look where I'm at now, and you got this little voice kind of like messing with you from the past. And it's not only through, I think, a process of plugging in and hearing the right voices and people and the training and all that, where you start to say like, man, you know what? I'm willing to kind of let go of the lens of the past that I've been seeing my next season here at Family First Life. I'm going to let that go. And I'm going to start visualizing and seeing myself as successful, because this person is, that person is, and they're telling me what to do and how to do it. So, I think I can do this. And you know what? I think there's supportive people that care enough about me to show me the way forward. And they've already gone the way. So who better? I can actually take confidence in the feedback and direction in the path that they've set before me, because they've already crossed it. And so I know that I can do this thing. And I think it's really that's the process that you have to go through. Yeah. But I wonder if, most agents that fall off, it's simply because they don't stay plugged into the calls and the training long enough to let that actually take place, to let that belief build to a level where they're going to take the steps that are necessary for them to see the results that they want to see. And I think it's really that simple. If you're on this and you wonder like, man, I'm struggling with doubt, well, welcome to the party. We all have. We all did. It's easy to see, and I love how you went through that, Grady, because, when you talk and, you communicate, you got so much energy and passion and confidence behind it. And then you look at the business that you've built to 3.6 million in a month. And, I don't think anybody would sit back and say, he probably struggled with disbelief and doubt and fear in the beginning. And I think that's freeing, because a lot of times we believe that lie that it's just us. And if I feel this way, then maybe it's not for me. But that's a lie. The truth is everybody feels that way. And the truth is it's a process for you to build the belief to get to the level. And the thing is this, Grady, have you seen that kind of show up in different levels? Like, at first it was building this belief to 30K. And then it was, man, could I be a business owner? Could I have staff? Could I run a massive business? Could I do that? Did you see that show up at all on the business side as well? And did you deal with it the same way, as far as plugging in and getting around people that could kind of tell you that, hey, I've dealt with the same thing. Let me tell you how to deal with it. What did that look like?
I think you kind of knocked it right there. That's a big part of it, is you're coached on these things. Invest more in leads, invest 1,000 a week in leads, invest 2,000 a week in leads, right? This nervousness takes over you, right? I came from my software career. I'd made $3,700 a month, right? Like, as the owner of a company, which, holds this heavy title. So how the heck can I even fathom spending $1,700 on leads? How could that doesn't mean $800? Are you crazy? Like, those are that's my rent. It's like 2/3. Like, how do you, and so that's kind of the challenges early on, is that, okay, well, this person I trust who has what I want is telling me to do this thing, and they have a vested interest in my success, and they're here to help me through the process. Okay, I'll do it. And you do it, and you get in the home and you call your manager, and they answer the phone, and they tell you what metformin means, and they talk to you about rovastatin, and you learn how to become a pharmacist here. Then all of a sudden you start to, impregnate these new mental triggers, right? Memories are created two ways, or we learn two ways, right? Emotional impact or repetition. So the repetition of running appointments and dialing the phone builds up those skills. The emotional impact of sitting in a home and being terrified of putting the wrong product in place, or not being able to protect his family, or needing to find a solution and not knowing, and reaching out to different mentors or managers or people, and them going, hey, American Eagle takes Parkinson's. You go, now I'll always know. Carbidopa. It's Parkinson's. It's for American Eagle. And you start to learn these things. And that's where you're emotionally impacted. And so for me, as the business progressed, like there was nervousness to get a staff member. There was nervousness to open an office. There, this is uncertainty. I'm on the hook. I'm now my staff members, children's food is reliant on me running enough appointments to pay not only my own bills, but her bills. Oh, I got to open an office. Now I've got to embark on all these new responsibilities and leases and things I've got to sign and office expenses that are on my shoulders. And if I don't sell enough, or I don't support my agents well enough, they may want to leave the office, right? And so there's, as I progress through those new experiences that every person who wants to build a big business will go through, I counsel upline. I remember talking to you about the office. I remember talking to Mark Mead about an office. I talked to Andrew about an office, talked to Sean about it, and finally opened one, and it's been a tremendous success. Hiring a staff member. Now we have four full-time staff members, which is nervousness up front, right? And that's a big thing where if you guys don't sell enough, you're never going to get to the levels that you want to be building, because you're never going to have enough to invest early on the things that are business assets. They're not business liabilities. A staff member is not a liability. An office is not a liability. These are business assets that will make you income by having a home where your agents can go, dial, you can run a professional business out of, and staff members that can support you and keep more business on the books. I mean, one of the greatest things was me allowing Jade to call the client the next day and let him know the policy's been submitted, calling him a few days later, letting him know the policy's been approved, and calling him a few days after that and making sure the policy came in the mail, and if it didn't, get in reordered. And then her sending thank you cards. She was the 4 additional touches for my client, which elevated my business practice. It wasn't just a guy who called them 2 days ago, showed up yesterday, and never hear from them today, right? They heard from me 2 days ago on the phone. I showed up the next day. Now Jade's calling them today. The continuity of business, right? Continuity and congruency are words that are good in marketing, right? When you see an ad or you click on a landing page and it's all the same and the word text are the same and the colors are the same, it makes you as a consumer feel comfortable. When I tell the client, my name's Grady, we're with Family First Life, I show up, I'm Grady with a Family First Life lanyard, and then Jade calls and says, hi, this is Jade, I'm calling from Grady Polcyn's office. The client's like, is the client going to take an appointment from someone else who's calling? Is the client going to allow someone else in the house? Are they going to want to go through it again? Are they going to cancel it when they feel super professional? No. And so those things early on, guys, can be nervous. But if you can trust me, if you will, or trust Paul, or just trust someone else in this business whom you look up to and respect, those small things in the growth of your business will become massive assets. And I'm sure you can attest to it too. How many people do you know that sell 20, 30K that are just cheap and they won't hire a staff member, and they go, I don't really know what they would do, Paul. I don't have that much work for them. And they're still 2 years later stuck ho-humming through the business because they're cheap and they won't. I mean, cheap's the wrong word. They're foolish. They think they know better than us, which is fine. Maybe they do. They're just taking the slower road. But
the funny thing behind that, Grady, is like, it's kind of like, at what price are you willing to sell your dream? And kind of in the beginning when you don't have anything, it's a lot easier to go all in or do a lot more uncomfortable things when you have nothing. Like for me to go through and book my first, or get on the phones for the first time and then go out and see clients. Dude, I was such a disaster, so uncomfortable. This is back 14 years ago. We had no system, no training, no support. The leads we're calling are 2 years old. It was just different, man. Like the in-home. What in-home? In-home. Go sit with the client, and the in-home was like, hey, tell the client, can you look at your spouse and tell them that you love them? And then the spouse would look at the spouse. They look at you funny. I know why you looked at me funny. You wonder why I asked you to do that. And the dude was this weird, Mary, I asked you to do that because I'd sit with clients all the time, and Bob cared enough about you to call. That was what it was. And I'm like, I ain't doing that. So I didn't do that.
Whole different.
So it was different, but Grady, I had my first daughter coming, Peyton. Now she'll be 14 in a couple months. And I was like, dude, I need to provide for her, like I have to make some money. I had no money coming in. I had no degree, nothing. I was like, dude, this absolutely has to work. And because of that, like I was willing to get uncomfortable at a very fast rate. And so depending on where each person's at watching this, your reason might be right in front of you, like Peyton was, where it's like, it's bright. Like every morning, I knew my reason because at 3 a.m. she'd wake up crying. And I'd be like, babe, you gotta get her. I gotta go book appointments tomorrow. But she'd wake up crying, so I was reminded, I was like, I gotta go out there and do things. And so that caused me to be uncomfortable. But what I see is this, Grady, you know, even to the point of like writing 20, 30,000. And then you're like, man, this feels good. It's better than I ever imagined. But your dream was really to have financial freedom, but it's better than whatever you imagined. And so now you've checked off that survival reason. Check, I got that off. And if you don't have more reasons to support it, like, and that could be living in a certain house, driving a certain car, it could be, it could be, external things. It can be materialistic things. It could be, I want to give back X amount. I want to be able to donate X amount. I want to be able to tithe so much to the church. I could be, I want to be able to go out and have freedom to go, do some charitable activity, whatever that might be. If you don't have more reasons to support that, it's easy to just go ahead and stop doing the uncomfortable things that's going to take you to the next level. So then, like you said, you fall into complacency. And, going back to, cause dude, you said so much stuff, Grady. Like, I feel like I, had a 24 ounce cowboy ribeye or something right now. I'm just like this. I've consumed so much already, dude. It's just so good. But, you take a look at what you talked about, how you change your thought patterns and processes, repetition of message, or just an emotional catastrophic event where it's just like something just like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And see, sometimes that's what it takes, where you've written 30K for so long and you start looking around and you're like, not comparing yourself, but you're like, dude, why am I here and others are not? And you're like, I'm sick and tired of finally being here. So you were excited at first, but then something rattles you and says, man, no more. I got to do something different. And I can think about my business. A lot of times my growth and my willingness to get uncomfortable and do certain things like hiring a second, third staff member, getting in office, all these things that were uncomfortable. It was tied because I heard it communicated so much that it was just normal. Like when people join Family First Life, writing 10K a week, it doesn't seem obscure like it was day one where I didn't believe it was even possible. Now it's just like anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. And you're seeing all these people do it, right? That was different back in the day. It was different. Now that message has been repeated so much that the whole company, the body of Family First Life, it's the DNA where you just believe you can do it. And if you come in and start saying you can't do it, dude, you're rejected like a virus, like a cancer cell. The body, the immunity just pops you out. And see, that's the thing. That's the thing about that repetition message. But sometimes when that emotional hit takes place, that's a blessing. Like I remember having, we did 13.6 million last month as a group. And I remember, December, not this past December prior. So I guess like 17 months ago, talking to Sean and we were doing, I don't know, maybe 2 million a month at the time, the whole hierarchy, dude. I mean, it was like nothing. And there was the other groups that were growing really quick. And I was just like, so sick and tired of it. Finally, I had became complacent with the way I did my business, the way I performed. And Sean finally had this conversation where it's like, dude, you got to get another recruiter. You got to start just giving out. You got to start doing all. And he had these list of things, and I'm like, done. Before it was kind of like I heard it, and I was kind of acknowledging it, but I wasn't executing because I was kind of okay with where we were at. And I was for a period until I wasn't. And I was like, dude, I'm sick of this now. Before, and I think that's what takes place a lot of times in this business, Grady, what I want you to kind of, if you can talk about too, is, how important is passion and then your energy also, like when it comes to building this business, sitting with clients, just having a high level of energy, because I think passion it could be infectious. If it's a high level of passion, I think you could affect people, or I think you could afflict people if you got no passion, where they get around you, they're like, dude, I need to take a bath. Like, bro, I need a, energy drink, or I need to take a, Zoloft or something. But dude, your passion is infectious. Your energy is always there. Talk about that. Like, how do you cultivate it? What drives that, and why is it important?
Yeah. I would say that, my passion comes from 30 plus years of, it will be, it won't knock me for as when I was a kid, but 16 years of marginal to mediocre success as an adult. But the want to excel, right? We kind of live in a social media world, or we live in a TV glamorizes crap that really doesn't matter, but it's kind of in your forefront. You think about it. I'd like that. I'd like to travel here. Greater goals. I always wanted to be a dad and be a coach of my kids and give my wife financial security and retire her. And like my passion, I think, comes from, as you mentioned, your daughter Peyton, from my why being my family and my children, and my desire to try to, make an indention in insurance or this world, or just become the best version that I feel that I can of myself. And so my passion comes from the lack of something to get passionate about for so long. And like, if people could see how hard it is at every place else but here, and how lifeless it can be at every place elsewhere, and how unfair the lack of comp and lack of renewals and lack of leads and lack of just everything that we have, that they would be crazy passionate here. And they would see, I mean, my father has had a successful insurance career, but he sold a lot of high level IULs, and he would tell me, I've got like 20 clients a year and you're seeing like 1,000. And I'm like, yeah, it's just, we move at a different pace here. And so my passion came from a lot of sitting with clients and seeing, what our client situation is in. I mean, us as insurance producers, especially Family First Life, if you work hard here, you're going to live in a different tax bracket. And that's a very humbling thing to have access to then be living in this different world, but then serving the masses. And the masses, they're happy with where they are. Our clients are middle America. They're happy with the life they live. They love their kids just like I do, but they've chosen a different path as far as work goes, and that's totally fine. And so like the access to security, income, ability is something that drives me, but also the ability to, to try new things in marketing, try new things from training, to help people break through their own limiting beliefs and challenges that they've experienced in life. I mean, I worked in network marketing for a long time, and that's an industry where you're trying to get people who aren't really entrepreneurs and trick them to become entrepreneurs and get them to sign up for weight loss shakes for $200 a month. And the whole thing is, I got issues with it. But here, I can find someone who's passionate, and I know with certainty, Paul, that if they study the material and they, write out their practice, dial enough leads and have enough interest in actually caring with people, that in 3 months, there's no question, and probably faster, they could be paying $20,000 a month. And that's a very, freeing thing to get excited about, to know that we truly can impact people, their lives, their future, their families, and potentially future families for the better. So that's really what fires me up each and every day, is the ability to know that we are truly impacting people for the better, and making a big difference in this industry.
I love that, dude. Well, I think that's something that anybody can, with the right mindset and with intentional focus and perspective, looking at it the right way, anybody can drive that up. Anybody can get more of that. Like, I always drove my passion up before I got out of my car to go sit with the client, because I'd visualize, what if they pass tomorrow? What does that look like? And I'd almost visualize, the mom getting a knock on the door with the cop, and that would just drive my passion. Where when I sat with the client, I never had a client say, "Man, you're too much pressure, too much pressure." They never thought that, because it wasn't pressure, it was passion, and they knew I cared. And so, did I sell every client? No. But they never like, "You need to leave. I don't like the sales pressure." I never heard sales pressure out of anybody's mouth. Never. Because they couldn't say it. They didn't think I was a salesperson. They thought I was a passionate person that wanted to serve them and help them with what they needed. And they know that I had the best interest in mind for them. And that's the thing, you got to, check your passion this week. So as, we leave today, what I would say a call to action is, what is your passion level? And can you increase that? Because if you increase that, you'll increase your production, you'll increase your business. It's infectious. Passion, it doesn't recognize common sense. If you're passionate, you're just driven, like, that this is going to be so good and where you're going to get to and how it's going to play out for your family, and you can see this and visualize this, well, then the painful process you got to go through to get there, it doesn't even matter that much. You don't even feel the pain. You're just focused on getting to the place where you can experience those gains. And I think that's the difference maker, is passion overcomes common sense. A person that says, "I need to know more about product knowledge." No, bro, you need to get your passion up. You need to get your passion up. Because if you're passionate, you ain't worried about product knowledge. Product knowledge is commonsensical. Well, I need to know. That's what you think. But if your passion is, I just need to go out there and get to a place where I'm providing for my family, I go out and sit with more clients, your passion will negate common sense. Your passion also will shield you against and hedge you against any kind of excuses or justifications of why you didn't do something, or you didn't see the success you wanted. Your passion just says, "No, what can I learn? What can I get from this? Let's go. I'm passionate about getting to the next level." Everything you do, if it has passion, you'll do it better. And Grady, I've always seen that, man. And I thank you, because every time I'm around you, bro, I just feel a little bit more passion, more energy to go out there and elevate and have fun in the business. You know, high level of energy, it brings with us some enjoyment and some fun. And guys, hey, we're not out there, you know, doing some things that, you know, necessarily what you would express as fun. You know, this isn't like the fantasy draft and we're sitting, you know, it's not that, but you can make it fun. Heck, me and Andrew did all kinds of crazy things to make this thing fun. Have some energy, have some passion. Even though you're not where you're at right now, be passionate about what you can do today. And if you're passionate in today and give it all you've got today with high passion and commitment, there's no question your tomorrow will be that much better. And so, Grady, I appreciate you hopping on. And guys, as always, if this has served you well, like, subscribe, share it. I always say, I think everybody has this inherent intention to make a difference and want to impact and help others. Sometimes just sharing a podcast like this and then being able to hear how Grady got started and what he's gone through is something that gives them some belief. It gives them some hope. And they go out there and they reach high heights because of something that you did by sharing a message. And so make sure to share on social media, like, subscribe, and comment below if you guys have got any specific things you want to have communicated on here. Anybody that you want to have on, a special guest. Grady, you were requested many different times. And so glad to have you on here again, man. And so thank you, guys. Let's make it a big week. Grady, thank you so much for joining, man.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. See you guys. Take care.